Okay, how much debris can you see behind me? A lot. Okay. Welcome to episode 3 of Pimp My Packet Cake. Today we are making a strawberry chocolate mirror glaze cake using only packet ingredients. It's going to be fabulous. Let's do this thing. So before we get started with the actual cake, we need to prep our cake pan. So we're going to take some paper towel. That's right, paper towel. We're going to fold it into thirds and then we are going to wet it. So you can see we're folding it in thirds lengthways, and this is a long enough piece that will wrap all the way around the outside of the cake pan. And we're going to take some foil, and after we've wet the paper towel, we're going to wrap it up in foil, and then we're going to wrap it around the outside of the cake pan. What this does is provides an extra layer of insulation between the cake and the heat of the oven. So it stops it from doming quite so much in the middle. It helps it to rise more evenly on the side so that you get a flatter cake and you don't end up having to level the cake off before you ice it. I'm also going to put a layer of foil underneath this one just because it's a springform pan, so that will just help prevent any leakage. And then to give it the best chance of rising, we're going to line it with baking paper as well. So we're just folding it and folding it and folding it in half until we have a pointy little arrow. Measure the diameter of the cake pan and then fold it in half to get the radius, and that's the easiest way to line the bottom of the cake pan. I like to use a little bit of cooking spray to make it stick to the pan. And then we're going to just use narrow strips of baking paper around the outside of the cake pan as well. And then when that's done, we're even going to spray the baking paper as well, because we really want this cake not to stick and to rise as flat and level as possible. So once that's done, we can set it aside and get started on the actual cake. So this is a strawberry and cream cake from my best friend Betty Crocker. And we're going to just dump it into the bowl like we usually do, following the instructions. Melt that butter up, eggs, milk, butter, and then beat low for 30 seconds, high for 2 minutes until it's nice and fluffy. And remember, don't lick the beaters. The batter contains raw egg. Just don't do it. So then, for once, we're actually going to bake this cake per the packet instructions in around 20 centimeter baking pan at 160 degrees Celsius for about 50 to 55 minutes. This one actually took 65 minutes. Wait, hold up, go back. Do you see that? Kind of looks like Teletubby custard. Gross. So, words, Sarah, find words. Scrape it into the pan, level it out as best you can, because if I haven't said it enough times already, we want this to rise flat and level. And then into the oven. Once it comes out of the oven, we want to take off his little outerwear. Once the stick comes out clean, that's how you know it's done. Like I said, it took about 65 minutes in my oven, but my oven sucks. So we're going to take off his little jacket, take him out of the pan and let him cool down completely, because we don't like to ice hot cakes, do we guys? Because the icing will just run straight off, and that is not what we're going for in this scenario. So once the cake is cooled down, we'll go ahead and frost it with my best friend Betty's chocolate frosting, because that's how we roll. We like it easy, we like it lazy. So we're just going to spread that all over the top and the sides of the cake. This is really just a crumb layer, this first coat, although I did it super thick. So yeah, do it as thick as you want, I guess, depending on how chocolatey you want your cake to be. All the way around the sides as well. Want the whole thing completely covered in this frosting before we move on to the next step. Spread it out as flat as you can as well, because that will help us to get a nice smooth surface for the glaze to flow over. So yeah, you can see I'm really sort of taking my time here to try and get it as flat as possible, and then into the fridge so that it can set up for a little while. It needs to be really cold before you put the glaze on. And then I also did a second layer of that frosting just to try and get it really super flat. and I went ahead and used the lid of like a disposable foil tray, used the lid of that to try and smooth out the top as well and the sides, because I don't know if I think maybe I didn't say this enough times yet, I don't know, but you really want it to be smooth and flat. So smoothing all the way around the edges and then also across the top, just to get it as perfect as you can be bothered getting it. Uh-oh, my baby's waking up. Hurry, get flat. Okay, then that goes back into the fridge after it's nice and smooth. Come on, get it done. Let's go. Okay, into the fridge. And then when it's chilled, back out of the fridge, and we're going to bring in a new friend. This is not from my best friend Betty. This is a different toy for us to play with today. It's pre-packaged chocolate mirror glaze. And all we have to do is just squirt it on to the cake and sort of spread it out and let it drip over of its own accord. It was a little bit thicker than I expected it to be. Maybe because my kitchen was cold. I'm not really sure. It is winter here at the moment, so I'm not really sure why that was. Maybe that's just how it is. Who can tell? Anyway, get that on, get it spread out, and get it smoothed over so that the cake just disappears on the screen as you do that. Uh-oh, my baby's losing his mind. Okay, where were we? Oh yes, we were smoothing out this glaze. I added more around the edge so that I could get some drippage happening on the sides, because that's what I wanted to have happen. And then I tapped it and jiggled it and shook it around a little bit to try and get it to spread out nice and smooth and even. And of course, the smoother you do your frosting layer underneath, the smoother the mirror glaze is going to be on the top. And then you just put it onto a platter and that's it. That is literally the end of what you have to do, and it tasted pretty good, it looked pretty impressive, and yeah, that was it. So we had this for dessert last Wednesday night. We've been having dinner with our friends and family over Wednesday evening, having a great time doing that. And and I've just been bringing dessert every single time, which is, I mean, it gives me a good chance to get videos done, so that's fun. And that's my story. Did you enjoy it?